Welcome to Stories from Site, the podcast for renovation enthusiasts. I'm Amy Donalik, and together with my co-host Jane Middlehurst, we chat with home renovators about the rollercoaster that is renovation. This week we chat with Lorna about her home renovation alongside her architect husband James. She reflects on how her experience running an estate agency has influenced their renovation approach. And as they prepare for yet another renovation project with two young children in tow, Lorna provides insights into the key aspects of creating a valuable and functional home. So welcome to the podcast, Lorna. Great to have you with us. Do you want to start by telling us a bit about your renovation?
Yes. Gosh, where to start with that? Yeah, full renovation. We found our flat on Rightmove. We did a kind of 6 flat viewings in one day.
Wow.
Which was, yeah, it was good. It was intense, but it was really, really helpful actually to see kind of just back to back, see a load of things and then kind of say, actually, you can really compare which one has the most potential. And then we thought, yeah, the one. So that was great. That was kind of job done quite swiftly. And then we decided on this one mainly because of location. It was 5 minutes from Peckham Park, 5 minutes from really amazing high street and coffee shops and things like that. And it was on a really, really lovely, beautiful, wide, tree-lined street. Just had a really nice feel to it. And it was also around the corner from our favourite pub. So obviously that was a win. And then my husband, James, is an architect. So I have a resident architect, which if I'm honest, he was the one that when we first walked in said, oh, wow, okay, I can understand and see what we could do here.
But it's worth Lorna saying you also have quite a good skill that you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I started my own estate agency, actually, which ties into buying our first flat. It was a horrible experience where we bought. The agents were very unenthusiastic and didn't really understand the home, didn't show us around, kind of just stood there on his phone and didn't really say anything. It was just quite bleak and emotionless and just a real shame. So I thought, why not set up my own agency where I can create some excitement for people and some meaningful sales? Because at the end of the day, it's your home. It's your most expensive asset and it's your most important asset and it should be cared for. So I set that up 2 years ago and I've got to look around some amazing houses and get inspiration from looking around and seeing what other people have done and then understanding from that what really sells, different design choices that make a difference when it comes to marketing and when it comes to price. I think that's a power couple when it comes to renovating. So you say that James, your husband, he had an idea for the flat and what you could do. Did you buy into that idea or were there things that you thought, actually, I'm not quite sure?
Yeah, I mainly bought into most of what he said because I just trust that he's done 10 years of very, very intense design education and then has a number of years being qualified as well. So he was saying we could take what is currently the kitchen, move it upstairs to the lounge and just create one big kitchen, living, dining space. And then the redundant kitchen becomes a second bedroom. So obviously I was like, yeah, that's great. He was really into like bringing in a lot more light into the place. So his idea was to completely smash through the ceiling on the landing and go into the butterfly roof and put a Velux in. So you add a lot of ceiling height and you also bring in a huge amount of light. So obviously I was also on board with that as well. Like when you got down to colour choices and things like that, obviously, yeah, all hell would break loose. but
You're painting this really idyllic picture.
Oh God. Oh, no, absolutely not. No, I think I came the closest to tears when he did smash down the ceiling because he did most of it himself because obviously we're on a budget. So he smashed down the walls, he smashed down the ceiling, and I don't know where I was, but I came home and I tried to walk up the stairs, but it was just a landslide of rubble. That was it. A friend came round and had a look and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. I've got to sleep here tonight. So it was far from idyllic.
So after all the rubble and knocking everything out and getting the spaces where you wanted to, could you talk a little bit about what happened then in terms of the interior fit out and how you went about that?
Yeah, so everything got smashed apart, rebuilt, and once everything was in the right place, all the plumbing had to be redone, all the kitchen plumbing, which involves taking floorboards up. We moved radiators around, electrics then needed to be done. So once all of those kind of things were in the right place, we could then focus on the cosmetics and interior. So the overwhelming memory I have is of doing the floors. That involved banging in slithers into all the cracks between each floorboard, nailing them all down, sometimes replacing them. And we did all of this ourselves. And it took a long, long time and a lot of patience. But, I'm a big reality TV fan. There was about 5 series of Below Deck that I could just stream. And I was just banging in slithers and watching Below Deck. So it was great, actually. And then the worst part was sanding the floorboards. Oh my God, industrial sander. It's like a big lawnmower that you have to somehow thread this huge sheet of quite heavy duty sandpaper through and then kind of mow over the floors. And every now and then it completely blows up. Well, the sandpaper shreds and it kind of ate it. It was a horrible moment. So you were just kind of tentatively doing this job. It was awful. And we had to do every single floor. That was maybe one thing James and I didn't agree on, actually. I did want carpets in some of the rooms, maybe the bedroom, and he was like, no, absolutely not. It's floorboards throughout. Okay. So, and then the stairs, obviously, there's these nooks and crannies and really, really lovely details on the stairs, but it took at some points you were just on your hands and knees with a piece of sandpaper and just physically sanding everything.
We have quite a lot of DIY guests on, and I think they often are so enthusiastic about DIY. And I have to say, I don't have the same feeling about it. I think it's the patience that you need. It's hardcore. I'm interested to know what the result was.
Yeah, no, really, really happy with the result. I mean, they now look like really beautiful wooden floorboards. After sanding and everything, we then painstakingly chose a colour to stain them all. And then you treat them, you finish them with a varnished. Yeah, they came out really well. So really happy with that. Yeah. And once we'd done that, we got a plasterer and we did try and do it ourselves. It's a real skill. So we got someone in the end to do the whole thing. And we just moved out for a week and he came in and did it all. And actually, I will remember that walking back in once that was all finished and thinking, oh my God, it is actually, now you can see it coming together. Because before the walls were all just plasterboard and it was this real moment of, oh my God, the walls. Okay, this is quite nice. And the finish line was in sight at that point, which was really nice. And then obviously painting, all the walls had to be painted. You start off with white. Painting was my bag. I do actually like painting. I find it quite therapeutic. And the colour that we used, I think it's a Farrow and Ball rich grey. We did the bottom half in a satin sheen and the top half in matte. So the same colour, but different types of paint. Kind of for look, but also then we thought if we have a kid and kid splashes mud on the wall, you can wipe it off.
That is such a top tip. I mean, we've spoken about it a lot before in various situations, but we did not have that in our house. And our house had a Tide mark that just went all the way around. The white walls was just sticky handprints. And like, you don't want to feel like you're living in a bathroom, that it's sheeny, but like halfway, that's a really nice detail. I love that.
Yeah, it's really nice. I saw it actually in a house then that I subsequently sold, actually a house in Bonington Square that had done it as well with the yellow. So I think it's maybe a technique that's growing in popularity. And it looks really nice. It's so subtle, so you don't notice it straight away. And then we use that line to hang pictures. So every picture sits on that line, which is also quite nice.
Oh, that sounds lovely. So I guess we're talking to you at a kind of pivotal moment where you are now about to move house again. I guess I just wondered, one, how you're feeling about that? And 2, are you moving into a project?
Yes, we are moving into a project. I am really excited. It's an amazing project. I now obviously know the trials and tribulations of doing a project. So that makes me apprehensive. I also know that by that time we will have two children under 2, which of course we didn't have before when we were doing our current place. So that's going to be interesting. I think grandparents will be heavily involved.
Grandparents, if you're listening.
Yeah, it's a call out. This is your warning. But at the same time, I think having learned so much from our first place and also learning about what you like yourselves, like, as I say, the colors that we chose or different design elements that we incorporated and would do those perhaps differently for our next place, which I think will stay in for a little bit longer. So that makes me excited that we can kind of employ these newfound learning to somewhere new.
Do you think it will be as much hands-on as the previous renovation?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of DIY again. We have maxed out financially just to turn the key because, well, A, we need the space, but B, the location of this place is just out of this world. And we just think there is quite a good amount to be made on it. So budget for this one is very much probably the key concern. What's good about it is everything roughly is actually already in the right place. So there's no moving whole rooms around or anything. But it used to be a shop. So there's a shop front to the street. There's then 2 floors above, which will become, do you know what? I tell a lie. There is a kitchen up there and it needs to be moved. So yeah, no, it is a big job. But so that there will be 4 bedrooms above and then a lounge in the basement below. This sounds very weird, but we're going to chop a big hole in the floor of the shop to get the light down into the basement and the connection down into the lounge. Obviously put some balustrades up so it's not just a big hole in the floor for child A and B to fall down. They will have names, sorry, that's a weird way to refer to my children. They won't. Obviously that would be safe. But for this one, I think it's mainly just removing a lot, removing kitchen, removing walls. There'll just be a lot to get rid of. And then after that, I think it will be pretty similar.
How long was the previous renovation start to finish? Like, what do you think?
Doing the actual work was probably 14 or 15 months. To get building control, then sign off. So from actual start to finish is probably more like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Building control, oh my God, it's a long, long process that. But yeah, for the actual work, probably just over a year. And this new place it's quite similar to what we're in now, but just kind of on steroids. It's huge. So it'll be a bit longer. And I will probably be doing a lot less because I'll be looking after the kids. So
yes. Or you'll be like, I'm actually quite busy.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Dave.
We'll pop out over to you. Yeah.
No, we've already agreed that he'll do the knocking down and then I'll do the painting because he doesn't have patience for painting, but I quite like it. So.
But you're going to be turning back up to the rubble-filled hallway with 2
exactly with 2 children demanding milk. So that'll be fun.
It sounds like it's going to be an adventure,
definitely. But I think as well, I'm so excited to create a home for our new family, and it's right around the corner from some best friends of ours. It's really near to Brockwell Park in Herne Hill and Herne Hill High Street. So I can see the life. And I'm just going to keep that in my mind as we crawl through a rubble-filled existence.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I don't know if it helps knowing what's in store or whether it's better to go in blind. I mean, it's just, it's a tricky decision, isn't it?
I know, I was just thinking that. Yeah, and I'm trying to be glass half full and thinking, yeah, it's great because we've learned so much and we know what we like and what we don't like and we can apply that. Like the bathroom that we did here, I would not do that same style again. We had a nightmare with the bathroom. So we've learned a lot doing that. But yeah, at the same time, the injuries, the emotional turmoil, the decision making, you do know all of that. So, but I'm just trying to not think about that and just think, oh, great, we can choose a new bathroom color. That's nice.
Yes, I think you've got a good strategy. It's much harder when you're doing DIY and obviously bit by bit, but do you have a strategy for your budgeting? Are you a spreadsheet person? Is it just a pot of money which you'll be eating through? Or
Yeah, we do have a spreadsheet. We did this for the last place where we kind of tried to roughly assign things. I mean, it's so difficult because it's never the case. I mean, you always end up spending more on something or less on something or as you go. But we do keep a spreadsheet, and for every cost we write that down, and just so we obviously keep track of what we are spending as it goes.
And in terms of which bit you tackle first, is that kind of needs must?
Yeah, I think it is needs must just because of having a young family now. Before, the strategy was knock down, like totally kind of destroy and then rebuild. Whereas now it's a shop with the flat already built above. So we'll be able to live in the flat above whilst we create the kitchen, dining and the living space in the basement. And then once that's done, we can then look at converting the kitchen and lounge that's in the flat upstairs into bedrooms whilst we still live in the 2 bedrooms that are then above that.
You're going to know every corner of your house really, really well, I think, by the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. With this place, because it was just a 1 bed, we had absolutely no way of doing that. So it's just
nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide. But luckily in this place, there will be.
Now you're tackling a new project. Has it changed how you look at what you're going to be doing? Is there lessons learned from the professional side?
Yes, massively. For example, James was talking about making the basement into 2 bedrooms, then having a kitchen, dining on the ground floor, then the floor above having another living space like lounge. Because it's elevated, it gets light and it's got a really lovely view over the street. So this place doesn't have a garden. Sorry, I should point that out. So there's nothing at the back. So you're really reliant on the front and the view out front. So he was saying, actually, in terms of living, that would be really, really nice. And then the 2 bedrooms, there's 2 further bedrooms upstairs. But we decided actually that although that would be really nice in terms of use for resale, you're not going to be able to sell that to a family because I think most parents would not want to be sleeping upstairs, but their children 1, 2, 3 floors down in the basement. It just feels a bit disconnected. So we decided actually it would be better to make a kind of cozy lounge living space in the basement and bring in light other ways and then have all 4 bedrooms upstairs all together. And I mean, generally, I think what we were looking for when we bought the current place and what we looked for buying the new place was relatively similar because I think there's just such a clear blueprint for it with in terms of location, proximity to high street and green space, and obviously an area that you're going to get value. I mean, Herne Hill is incredibly popular, so yeah.
Well, I think we should have you back on after the next one.
Yeah.
And we can hear about the next renovation. I think that would be so nice.
Good. Oh my God, for sure. I would be intrigued to see what kind of state I'm in.
Yeah. Should we schedule it for a year's time or 2 years' time? I don't know.
It's like, yeah, maybe 5.
Oh, fingers crossed it all goes well.
Yeah.
Sounds very exciting.
Thank you.